starting recording, starting streaming. Oh my gosh, Azeroth Roundtable's happening right now.
Technically, the three of us are going to be making art.
Yeah, but that part was solo art. Now it's three of us.
Okay, if you say so. Oh, no, there's a commercial for Gods of Egypt.
That movie's getting great reviews. Really proud to have them on our Twitch page. Because,
Yeah.
man, people are way into that.
Who isn't?
Everyone.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay.
Oh, I remember what I was going to ask is if we needed to talk about anything prior to the show starting, but I guess that ship sailed, so hopefully the answer was no.
Well, I think it goes without saying that thing that we talked about before is probably not going to be happening tonight, so let's not mention that.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. Oh,
yeah.
Sneaky.
Yeah. There's actually something to it.
All right, so just to remove all surprise from the show, this is gift number 1.
Yeah.
Switch in about 30 seconds here to gift number 2. And
I love Stitch.
Then shortly thereafter, gift number 3. I just want Eljeppy to know that we've got him really, really covered.
Is that a Wada?
Yeah. It's kind of sad because Awada died and I really miss Awada, but it's also my tribute to him because I really miss Awada.
I really hope at one of those points on the stream, one of us says Awada right as he turns his head.
That's so good.
Awada. Huh?
What? I think you might have just accomplished it, actually, for the stream.
Yay, stop.
I did, actually. Nice.
Good job, Ben. Good job.
Oh, there we
go. Ro, I did not get it, and I know that right now the Fallout 4 Season Pass is, it's going to be more expensive soon, so I really should get it. But the problem is I haven't really gotten into Fallout 4, so I'm not sure paying any additional money is a good idea at this point. Especially because I know that maybe by the time I get into Fallout 4, it could be even less than it is right now.
Yay.
Because I got into Fallout 3 like a year after that game came out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, that's great. Sarah just said, I love how Stitch looked like he's trying to get the Murloc to help him. I think he's trying to high-five him after he falls.
High five.
It's like, oh!
Never mind.
High five.
Yeah, I should never have done a Stitch. That's my.
I won't talk like that.
My mistake.
I promise.
My error.
Shockingly good though. Good.
It was good.
Good Stitch.
You do a good Stitch, Ben.
Yeah, it's like the one voice that I can kind of do. Meanwhile, you who just, I can do Droopy Dog.
Yep, that's the one voice I can do. Droopy Dog.
And Cartman, come on. That was good.
Yeah.
My favorite thing was recently we were doing an Overwatch stream, and I did the Cartman voice on the show, and the chat room didn't know who was doing it. So someone in the chat room was like, tell Bo to do more of the Cartman voice. So I said, Bo, the chat room wants you to do the Cartman voice. And he says, I wasn't doing the Cartman voice. And I said, well, give the chat what they want, man. You got to do it now. Turns out he does a pretty good Cartman voice. It was fine. It was fine.
Now, when you do it at the same time, the two of you, that's fantastic. You should do that.
Ben, do you do the Cartman voice?
It's been a long time since I've done it.
Ben, let's hear you do accents.
No, we're not doing Ben's accents. No.
Let's go around the English-speaking world, Ben. Let's hear some.
No, I know.
Can you do an Australian accent, Ben?
No, I can't. I've proved that many times.
Can you identify an Australian accent?
Apparently not.
Now listen carefully, Ben. Does it sound anything like this?
Yes.
Okay then.
I talk to Lita all the freaking time. I should know what an Australian accent sounds like.
Yes, you should. That's why we were all very upset with you.
I know.
Terribly, terribly. It almost destroyed the entire show, to be honest.
I'm
I
not
was
surprised.
folding up my headphones, heading for the door.
Oh.
Wow.
Then I would have to go to England to go and get you.
It would have been so great if he was just like, "No, I'm just kidding with you. I live in Australia."
Yeah, Melbourne. 2 yards away from Lita. Actually, I don't know, because most of the time when I'm talking to Asheo, I'm talking to Lita or Wingy or the various other Australians that I tend to be around because of the time zone I'm working to. And so, from all I know, I am speaking with an Australian accent. I don't know. Things
Really?
change. Yeah.
Haha. That's
Uh-huh.
what it's the whole you talk to someone with an accent enough and you totally adopt their accent. I get it.
Terrible for that. Terrible for that. And not in a good way, in an insulting way. Like when you.
Like Madonna.
Oh, God. She almost got a passport just based on that accent.
Oh, jeez.
They're just like, well, you really committed, so I guess
Yep,
I
here you
guess
go.
you can come on in.
I guess she's lost it now because she's divorced, isn't she? From the
Oh,
the
no.
I don't know.
director that she was married to. Snatch guy, the guy who did Snatch and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and all that lot.
Maybe.
God, Guy Ritchie, isn't it? Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
That was the reason she blamed the accent, or said the accent came from, right? Everybody
From
got
Guy
really
Ritchie?
You would kind of notice, don't you?
Everybody got mad about that, but honestly, I didn't, because I tend to talk like people if I'm around them enough. Like,
Yeah, but she didn't. She didn't get it from him because he's like Cockney, come on, mate, down apples and pears and all this malarkey. and she's talking like one of the Queen's daughters. So if she got it from him, he must come via somewhere else because it wasn't him directly.
maybe that's why they're not married anymore.
There you go.
Maybe
That
she
will
watched
destroy a marriage.
She watched a lot of British TV.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was.
she
Totally.
was definitely on something.
You guys ready to start the actual show?
Sure, I thought this was the actual show.
Well, it could be. But
It's pretty good. I liked it.
oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it too. But I think people actually want to hear us talk. Oh man,
Want us what? What was that, Ben?
apparently nothing because I just got stopped. I think they
Fuck.
want us to talk about WoW or something.
Oh,
I have to stop watching. I'm looking at the Twitch channel and it's just out by about, I don't know, 2 minutes. So I've just seen you choke again. It's funny. Sorry.
it is funny every time.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the highlights.
Hey guys, remember that time Ben tried to start the show and died?
It happens.
Classic Ben.
Aw, Ben. Always one-upping everybody for his art.
Yeah. I'm like Shia LaBeouf. That's what I am.
I'd make a little gif of it and I'd use it.
Yeah, this is episode 722. Like, Ben's still dying.
There's just Ben. All right, Ben, what were you saying before you died?
I was saying, let's go ahead and start the show.
Oh,
Uh,
well, that would be lovely.
So, Eljeppy, whenever you are ready, go ahead and kick us off.
Hi there, this is Eljeppy from Down Under and Well Geekly, and you are listening to Azeroth Round Table. So the trouble is I can't do round table because I say wound table, but it is Azeroth Round Table.
Just like an Australian.
G'day, mate. Hang on a second. Ashayo's in the chat room. We're all in big trouble.
Oh, even better. Then I know what story we're opening with.
Okay. Let's see.
Please
Welcome
tell-
to Azeroth
Whoa.
Roundtable, episode 153. My name is Ben Bumhofer. I am horrible at doing accents as well as identifying them. With me, as always, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Hi, Ben. It's going quite well on this lovely Friday evening here. I'm fine. How are you doing, Ben? You doing okay?
Doing fantastic.
Yeah, you sure?
Yeah.
Do we need to start over?
No.
You good?
Can we start like the whole half hour over?
From the moment we got
Don't
Eljeppy on the
start-
phone and you embarrassed yourself?
Yeah.
On?
Mm,
Yeah.
If only you knew
Eljeppy,
people
thank
who
you
would
very
let
much
it
for
go.
joining us this week.
that's no problem at all. No problem at all. I had to obviously fight my way past kangaroos and wallabies and other bits and pieces to get to the mic, but I'm glad that I made it all the way here. G'day, mate. G'day, mate.
Oh, jeez.
Ben doesn't
So-
know accents. That's the short version of the story.
I stupidly identified Eljeppy just in a quick burst as, oh yeah, he's Australian because, you know, he does a show with Ash. So obviously that means that he's Australian. So
Well, he's American tonight, then.
Yep. And aren't we all Americans? Let's be honest.
unfortunately,
Not for long. Depends on who wins the election. Then we might lose a lot of people.
When that wall goes around the entire country.
let's.
Did you
let's-
see the Mexican guy on the news? He was on the Fox News. He's like an ex-PM, ex-Prime Minister of Mexico. He goes, he says, he drops the F-bomb and says, "We're not building that effing wall." Or we're not paying for it. It's like, oh,
Bravo to him, sir.
So, anyways, Eljeppy, it's awesome that you're able to join us this week. You know, I've been wanting you for a while, but I thought that you were in Australia and time zones, and I'm an idiot. But whatever, you're here now, and I am so happy that you're here.
thank you very much, Ben, and I'm glad to be here. I was speaking to you before the show started recording, saying how I feel that I know you both, having seen you on so many different podcasts and listened to you, and it's a true honor to be here.
Well, thank you. That's very nice.
It's great having you. I feel like you're already classing up the joint.
Really.
Really, is that bringing that just that extra Australian charm? Is it? No,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
There's an oxymoron right there. Sorry.
Yeah, nope. That's what should have given it away to Ben, honestly. He should have heard it and said, "Oh, classy. Definitely not from Australia."
I would never say that.
That
because
won't generate
it's
any
also very
emails
classy.
or comments. Sorry, Australia. We're just
I think
kidding.
that's both
you don't
Spaz
want to
and
be
the share.
classy
You've
anyway.
upset.
Yeah. So, okay, who wears it better, a monocle and a top hat, Australia or England?
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
England wears it
We
better.
definitely go. I'm actually wearing the top hat now. It's an essential part of my dress.
It's required.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. The monocle not so much. That's kind of gone out of fashion a wee bit, but top hat, umbrella, 4-piece seat, the whole bit.
You know,
See, I'm just glad they actually invented, glasses, because wearing two monocles is really, really tiresome.
Yeah, you just can't keep both eyes crunched enough. It's quite hard to do.
we all tried
I
it,
think
didn't
Gilbert
we?
Godfrey.
That's great.
I can't see.
I just watched him in the second Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh.
If I had money in this hand, and I can't do it. I'm not going to.
What's in this hand?
What's in his hand?
Oh gosh, I love that movie.
Mm.
Anyway, so this is a show about World of Warcraft, even though sometimes we forget about that.
Really?
Yeah, just sometimes.
All right.
Every now and
If
then.
you say so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. Something happened this week that, John, I haven't really talked to you about it at all. Eljeppy, I saw you on Twitter mention or talk, a little bit about it, saying it's not that really big of a deal, if I remember correctly. And I'm in the same boat, but not exactly. So,
So you're in the
As-
same lake?
oh, we're totally in the same lake, even like the same little puddle, if you will. Because again, not a big deal.
I don't boat in puddles, Ben.
A few people do. Let's be honest. No,
It's just me in the puddle.
Okay. That's me in the puddle.
That's me in the shower.
Oh, but you know what? It's an appropriate analogy, Ben, because this all involves water. This is
Yes.
a very aquatic topic. And your position related to that water might be the crux of the whole controversy. Do you like
Very-
that? I brought that back very news anchory.
I'm surprised.
I'm being
Very
the
nice.
responsible one on the show. It feels weird, it feels wrong, and I won't stand for it.
Okay, fine. So, as hopefully some of you have noticed, water walking was kind of messed with when it comes to water striders. Now, Eljeppy, did you actually take the time in Pandaria or Warlords to get yourself a water strider to ride?
I did not. I don't have one. So when all this sort of sparked off, I was like, meh.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't a huge thing for me. Although the reaction to it, that's a huge thing. It's I'm normally way more shocked by the reaction to these things than the actual things themselves, and that's where you sort of think to yourself, hang on a second, people are quitting the game because of the and as it turns out, as I'm sure you're going to go on to say, this is not something that's actually going to happen. This
Yeah.
is just an alpha build that happened to, I don't know, slip through, or perhaps there was an intention behind it which didn't end up becoming the fact. But
Mhm.
it just the reaction of these things is staggering to me. Staggering. Forum posts, attacks on devs, I mean, just stunning.
Yeah, and
Look, I
it's
know we haven't gotten any new content in like a year, and we only got 2 patches this expansion, and this was a relatively content light expansion, and the only thing Blizzard's given me to do all expansion is to sit in my garrison, and I hate the new crafting system, and really the entire game just feels like it's punching me in the face every time I log in. But this is where I draw the line, Blizzard.
This is the final straw. So
Good
I'm
day
out
to
of here.
you all, sirs.
yeah, that's it. So,
Scary.
so here's the thing. The whole, I mean, if you haven't heard, the whole thing was that they're going to make the water striders that you got limited to the content where it was introduced. So if you got the Pandaria one, that means that it only works in Pandaria. If you got the Warlords one, it only works in the Warlord stuff. And people, I mean, you were right, LJP. They absolutely like flipped out. Now, here's the thing. People were likening it to the whole like no flying, which in a sense, okay.
Because you're
But
taking
like
something
that's
away they already had. Yeah.
yeah, it's to such an extreme. Like at the worst, what would happen is you're minorly inconvenienced because you have to swim across a lake. Like that's it. And that's why it's not that big of a deal. But I think really what happens is the bigger issue behind it is what was really the point of that?
Mm.
Now, Blizzard said that it's because they see that, a disproportionate amount of people just ride on the water striders because they can get over water. I mean, great if that's really what it is.
Do you think that's what it is?
No.
No, who
No one
does?
writing
Who
that
thinks
thing.
it what it was? I read that post and I'm thinking, where were these people during communist Russia? Who is writing these press releases or writing these? I know it's Helinka, but to all intents and purposes. But come on,
I mean,
come on.
if there is one dev just sitting there saying, "Hey, a lot of people ride their water strider. Let's make it so they can't." I mean,
That's bad.
yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, granted, they're trying to PR it. That's fine. They went back on it entirely so that it's not even an issue at all anymore. That's fine. It's fine. Okay.
It just feels
But
like the dev equivalent of them like walking up to a beehive and being like, "What is this beehive?" and kick it. like,
These folks aren't angry enough.
like they really could have probably seen this one coming. They probably just needed to think about it a little bit before they started nudging it with their foot. But
So
it's
there's
weird.
two sides as well, isn't there? There's two sides to it where you think to yourself, first of all, the whole idea of removing it and making it only able to do it in the place you got the mount is ridiculous. Because not only were they not going to let you do that in upcoming content, they were going to go back and retroactively stop you using it
yeah.
in old content, which is ridiculous, just completely crazy. And so you can see why, if that were to be the fact on the ground when Legion actually dropped, people would be naturally annoyed. And the problem is, when there's this massive overreaction, and there's foolishness on the forums, and there's people saying they're going to quit, and there's actual verbal attacks on devs because of what they've decided to do in alpha, anybody who has a genuine point of concern is lost in the mix. is just completely lost in the terrain because
Mhm.
there is a genuine point of concern. There's no need to remove it. I think personally that there's a questing line, or an area which is going to be very water based. Broken Isle seems to be the perfect example of that. There's a lot of water there. There's going to be quests which you need to do, which you're going to be able to avoid certain elements that they're going to put into the game because of the Strider. I would accept that. If
Yeah.
somebody said to me, "Listen, this area here. We don't want you using the water Strider because you're going to break the content."
Yeah.
Who
Exactly.
would, if people moaned about that, then you say, well, listen, you've got nothing to moan about because they can't sit there and design content if you're going to be able to step over it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'd
But I
accept
mean,
that.
even
But
if
this faff is
couldn't,
ridiculous.
Death Knights can already do it. Shaman can already do it. With a certain glyph, Warlocks can already do it. So even
Well, I
then,
suspect they were going to take all that away.
yeah.
I suspect that if they were going to go full throttle, they were going to take that away. But I feel I bleed for them because in this day and age where things are just mined and the alpha is just ripped apart as soon as it hits the servers, and people are saying, they are in a rock and a hard place. They really are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you want to try things during the alpha process. You want to be able to try things. You want to try things out. You want to see reaction, slow reaction at least. You want to see how it fits in with the whole ecosystem of the game. And you can't do that because every time you make a little change or a small change or move in a slightly different direction, people just jump on your backside, and that's the end of it.
Hmm.
It's a harsh environment to be a developer in. A harsh environment.
Yeah, I think that it's. So here's the thing. I have the mount. I
Mm.
have been known to use the mount to avoid trying to, get over water and whatnot. Because, hey, you know what? Sometimes it sucks to have to swim real slow. That doesn't
Yeah.
feel fun. So I use it, but at the same time, like, I don't. I heard they were doing this and I was like, oh, that's weird. And like that was about the full level of impact that it hit. And then all of a sudden I see them release like this huge press release about like, we hear you and we're listening and we didn't realize. And I was like, did this set the world on fire? Like,
Yeah.
what? Did people explode over this? Like, it
Mm.
just seems like such an arbitrary, weird thing. But I don't know. I guess when there's like nothing necessarily to talk about WoW related, when suddenly there's a change, maybe we just blow it out of proportion now and that's just the thing we do.
I mean, the big thing is like the people who blew it up, again, totally overreacting. I get it.
Mm.
You worked hard for a certain amount, and when it seems like they're just going to make all that work null and void so that you have to do it again in a new expansion, like, okay. But again, at the worst, it's an inconvenience of swim across this little river. That's it.
Yeah.
It.
Mm. I mean, John's right in as much as that if there was loads to do, if we were looking at, like, for instance, if they'd done a bit of extra time on the Valentine's holiday and there were new things to do, there was something else to look forward to rather than the crushing disappointment of not getting the love bucket, then none of these things just would not blow up because people would be genuinely happy and they would kind of, but because there's, for lots of people, and I don't include myself in this group, but there's lots of people who feel they have nothing to do in game. Of course, they're looking for news. They're seeking news. They're watching their Twitter. They're watching the MMO champion, and all of a sudden, bang! There's something to get their blood racing, and that's what they do. And unfortunately, it does lead to these massive overreactions.
Yeah, it's that old saying, in the land of the blind the one-eyed man is king. Like, this
Mm.
is a case of something that is probably not the biggest deal in the world, but when this is the, news feed and this is the news that's coming out of Blizzard, like, it seems really big. It seems really important. And I don't know, maybe people really, are attached and really care. Maybe people are just at a point with the game, and this wouldn't surprise me, where maybe we've gotten a little too hypercritical of Blizzard's decisions because we feel like maybe we've been burned recently. Um,
Mm.
I'm trying very hard not to be that person. Like, it's okay to not necessarily agree with them, but that doesn't have to color everything that they do. I don't now have to be skeptical of every decision they make.
Mhm.
Blizzard's track record is more hits than misses with me, Even if we just limit it down to Warcraft expansions,
Oh yeah.
there's no reason for me to not give them the benefit of the doubt that they know what they're doing. That said, I do believe if Blizzard does something you don't like, you go to the forums, go to Twitter, go wherever you need to go, and let them know. But I completely agree with what you said, which is like, don't turn it into a firestorm. Just
Mhm.
let them know. Let them know why it seems like a silly decision, because it does. On paper, it just seems like, well, why'd you do that? This seems weird. Why don't you just tell people, hey, the Water Strider isn't going to work in Legion? Like, the content we've designed, we don't want you to be able to use it. Which is
Mhm.
ultimately where they've landed, it sounds like, is that
Yeah.
you'll be able to use it everywhere previously, but not in
Oh
Legion.
no, they
No,
changed
they
it today.
completely changed it. Yeah.
Oh, they've completely
It's
gone back on it.
fully gone back. It's, hey, you have a water strider? Great, you can go over water.
All
Yeah.
right.
Because
Cool.
initially that was the initial response. Okay, you can do it back in the old content, but from onwards in Legion, no. And then there was there was only like 2 or 3 extra forum posts, I believe that. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure who. And then he went, okay, forget it. You can have it all back. Don't worry.
Mhm.
All right,
So,
fine. We just don't want to talk about it anymore.
so the scary thing is there is this uh, feeling of Blizzard are doing things purposefully to upset us. There just seems to be this general feeling, and I think it kind of goes back to Flight. And I hate to bring up Flight again, but it kind of goes back to that when, when when they release something just before the weekend, and there's this kind of, these people aren't playing fair with us, which you know is kind of ridiculous, because if you're working for a company which you are trying to damage by destroying its user base, that, honestly, that doesn't seem like a great idea for anyone in any sort of business.
Oh yeah.
But that does kind of pervade, and in our community now. This is one thing that I sometimes have a problem with. People say, "Oh well, the community is really upset by this, or the community is really upset by that," but actually, it's the forum community, it's the Twitter community. It's actually quite a small subset of people who play WoW. And one thing I think that we forget, and we've spent time, we've gone and decided to do a podcast or to do a Twitch channel. And we're investing ourselves a wee bit more in this product than perhaps millions of other players do. That we feel that that we have a lot more information than perhaps the average user has. And so, although it looks like there's hundreds of people very upset about the Water Strider, there's actually probably several million that have no idea
Yeah.
Mhm.
that even happened.
Yeah, it's just some guy named Bob. He's got 5 accounts and dual boxes. Just post a bunch under the different characters.
Yeah, it's just one guy really messing up the forums.
Yep.
But it is that you get that sense that there's this pervasive atmosphere of distrust
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in our community, in this relatively small subset community. I don't know how far that spreads out. I mean, I don't know how far that spreads out to the other, how 3 or 4 million people that are still playing the game, but certainly within the Twitch community and within the MMO Champion forums and on the forums themselves, the official forums, there is that. There
Well,
just seems to be attitude where nothing Blizzard does is on the straight and narrow. There's something dodgy about it.
so in the chat room, Wicked Kitten said, "So is this a non-story?" And she's kind of right. It kind of
It is not
became
story.
one because we ended up right where we left from. But I think the interesting takeaway, as far as the conversation point goes, is should Blizzard have to attempt to re-earn that trust? Because I do think you're right. I do think there is this atmosphere, and we're seeing a lot of agreement to that even in the chat room, that, after Warlords, there is this environment of, we're not sure if we really trust you. And it's a weird notion, this notion where you have your customers who are willing to pay you money on a monthly basis and play your game, but they're still sitting there going, I'm not sure I trust you guys.
Mm.
Is this something that Blizzard should address? Is it something they need to think about with how they handle their actions? Like, should this factor into anything that they're doing? Should it even be a thing that they have to? Is there a reason for us to not trust Blizzard?
Well, I think at this point, a lot of it comes down to something that I've said ever since we started digging more and more into Warlords of Draenor, is that it doesn't feel like Blizzard of old recently. And I don't know if it's because Activision is taking part, more in the development process, which means that Blizzard doesn't get to have the time that they usually have to really vet things out and make sure that they're perfect before they ship them, or they're able to build more content and everything. Where games like Activision, or companies like Activision, they put out a new game or a new iteration of a certain game because they have 3 different teams on it, work every single year. Like Call of Duty, that's Activision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a new Call of Duty every single game. So they're used to seeing those jumps in numbers and then kind of dying off, then, oh, new thing, jumps in numbers. So, and obviously I don't know anything about the inner workings of the company, the deals that they have and everything, but it just seems like in WoW terms, it's such a shift in the culture of the company compared to what we've had, in previous iterations. Like even Pandaria felt like, they were still able to really talk to us, to, let us know what was going on, engage with us. I mean, heck, the CMs all had Twitter accounts and were tweeting all the time to everybody back then. Then, Warlords hits, and then it's like, okay, well, this is going on. People are starting to get upset about like garrisons. We don't really hear anything. There's, 2 patches, technically 1, if you want to talk about content patches, and then it's been almost silence until Legion was announced. So it's I don't think it's that we don't exactly trust them. It's just like we don't know what happened to our friend, to put it the best way that I could. It's like our friend started hanging out with this bad crowd, Activision, and started doing and stopped doing its homework or something. I don't know.
What it feels like is more corporate.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It feels like, we have this idea back in previous expansions that there was a bunch of hippies and they'd come in on a Saturday and they'd slap together some content and they'd base it upon stuff that they really enjoyed doing. They really loved playing the game and they wanted to make it for themselves. And it just happened to ring a bell with 8 million other people. And then all of a sudden you slap the word Activision in front of it and it becomes very corporate. They have one Twitter account which we have to funnel everything through. You don't have the one-to-one feeling that you had with previous CMs. You don't have the idea that you doing a tweet or you writing a forum post, there's actually somebody on the other end reading it and taking it into unless there's a mass of people writing it. That's what seems to happen, of course, is that the individual is lost among the mass, and it's on both sides. It's on us flooding the forums with ridiculousness, and it's with the other side of them having a corporate front, which we're having to face now. And the feeling that I get, and it could possibly be completely untrue, is that that a lot of the people in charge don't play the game. Whereas in the past, I felt that they all played the game, that they were all deeply involved in its future. And it does sometimes feel that those people who are making the decisions are not. And that's hard. That's hard to take. As you were just saying, it's like you've lost your mate. That lovely game that you used to play together.
Yeah. I mean, John, I think that you can attest to this because you do another show about another show about another Blizzard game, I think it's called Core.
It is.
And I mean, the communication that we see coming out, Dustin Browder himself tweets all the time about the game.
Yeah, he has kind of become the new Ghost Crawler, for a different game, but Blizzard has always been inconsistent with its communication, just to be completely blunt and honest about it.
Yeah.
Dustin Browder, I love his tweets. I love his community interaction. I think he does a phenomenal job. That should not be the method with which people get their Heroes of the Storm news. And it is, because he's really good at communicating, but they're not necessarily really great at communicating. WoW suffers from the same problem. Honestly, it even did when we had Ghostcrawler, and everybody was like, oh, I miss the days of Ghostcrawler, because he would constantly tweet out things, and it was so much information, it was so good. Yep, but you still should not be getting your WoW news from a Twitter feed. Like, that's not where that communication should necessarily be. That doesn't mean that they should do a full press release every time they put a beta patch out, but there was a time where we would get more, hey, we're thinking about going in this direction with the game. I mean, does everybody remember when they wrote up that big patch about the cool cosmetic items we were going to get for all our classes?
Mhm.
And that came out, and we haven't heard anything about it. And it doesn't
That's
bug
my
me.
quiver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the thing, though, is like, I'm not even mad that it's not in the game.
Mhm.
What I'm frustrated by is that we've heard nothing about it. It's not, well, yeah, we were working on it, we decided to reprioritize, it's now not a high priority anymore. That's one thing, but just dead silence, just, hey, here's the thing we're working on, probably not this expansion. They said that during Pandaria, by the way, if you want to remember when that was. But maybe next. Well, now we're 2 away from that, and we still haven't heard anything. And it's just like, just follow up. Just say, like, hey, here's where we're at with that. We're not working on it anymore. And that's fine. That's an acceptable answer. Like, sure, there are going to be people that get upset, and I don't want this to sound like I am completely blaming Blizzard, because let me be clear, we are getting the Blizzard that we are earning with our behavior. Because if you are going to the forums and you are threatening the lives of people because they made a video game and you disagree with it, you are the problem. You are the reason we have this Blizzard. Because guess what? If I worked for Blizzard and people were threatening me just because I was trying to make the best game I could under all the rules and restrictions that I had, I wouldn't want to talk to you either. So
No, fair point. Very fair point. Yeah.
We've created this.
We've kind of earned it, haven't we? Yeah.
Well, do you think part of it is just the fact that we're in a lull right now and we're waiting for the next expansion? Because, I mean, I did say in Pandaria we were, communicating a lot with the CMs and everything. And granted, we were on Twitter and things like that. I feel like they didn't have a whole lot going on with the website per se until they started doing like, hey, here's the Garrison previews, or here's the the new character model for the Tauren, or something along those lines. And then we got a whole rush of information, then the expansion hit, and then it's like almost dead silence again until maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the next patch.
Yeah,
It's expectations that what they've done poorly, and I'd give Blizzard my kidney. I think what they've done for me as far as giving me pleasure, bang for buck, no other company's done that.
Oh, total.
But what they do is they raise expectations, false expectations, and they need to stop doing that. They need not to come to every BlizzCon and say, okay, we're really working on getting out these expansions on a yearly basis. Because when somebody then says, well, it's going to be 2 years, you kind of think, hang on a second. Okay, maybe you slip by a couple of months, maybe, but 2 years, that's not a year. And then next bit, I can bet money on it. Next BlizzCon, they're going to say, look, we're really working on getting these expansions out quicker. And just don't do it. In many ways, if they had said to you, listen, we're working on a 2-year rotation for these expansions, and they had, and the worst thing about that, of course, is that it's almost internal to the company. They would say, we're working on a 2-year expansion, and so you need to fill those 2 years.
yeah.
And what they didn't do is they thought, well, somebody in the company thought they were working on a yearly expansion, and then shoved it all in the front end. So now we're sat around here waiting for Lord knows how many more months.
And I think that's the key problem. If you want to know my key problem with Warlords, there it is right there. Is, look at the only 2 expansions that I don't care for. Cataclysm and Warlords. Oddly enough, the only expansions with 1-word names. But we'll throw that. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. It's Warlords. I just call it Warlords.
Really, John?
It doesn't help Legion.
No, don't look into that, because I want to be hopeful for Legion.
We're in a let's see, original series Star Trek movie order. How after Wrath of the Lich King, it's like good, bad, good.
But you take a look at it and you look at those expansions, and there's a lot I didn't like about Cataclysm, but at least they were putting out content. At least, I played a lot of Cataclysm late in the game because that was when they introduced Raid Finder. And me, as somebody who had more or less ignored most of the expansion, all of a sudden I had something fun to do.
They had those new dungeons, which were pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I did like those. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, that had some content. the problem with Warlords is I really liked that front end, and then there was just nothing, and there just hasn't been anything since. And it's hard to justify logging into a game that just has refused to evolve for, what hopefully won't be 2 years between expansions, but it probably will be. So it's tough. It's a really tough and frustrating thing, but it also ties into another thing, and it's actually
Just
a really nice.
really quick before you throw
It
that
was
in.
a really nice transition until Ben had to say something else.
Step
No,
all
no.
over
I'm just
it.
gonna say, Ro in the chat room, I think, kind of sums it up the best. He says, faster expansions and frequency of expansions isn't the problem. I don't care when expansions release. I just care when content releases.
That is a good point.
Hang on. And also, I know you. Now I'm going to step all over it as well, John. Sorry. That's right. I mean, we have this thing where we expect an expansion, new geography, new content, maybe new classes, and so on and so forth. But actually, most of the successful games that are coming out now are just releasing small content all the time, and there's no need to have a boxed expansion because they're constantly evolving. And that seems to me, particularly in the day and age where the type of consumers that we are, that want small chunks of information all the time, it seems to be the best way to go. I don't understand this idea that we have to wait for a boxed version of the expansion. Why aren't we getting just constant content evolution?
Oh yeah. John, I think I know where you're going with that, and I actually have it pulled up if you want me to read it.
Yeah, go for it.
Ooh.
Okay, so we got an email in from Tetsemi that is a perfect add-on to this conversation. And John and I, we both read it, we both kind of looked at it, and it's like, hey, that's a great thing to talk about. So here we go. From Tetsemi, he says, seeing another well-known raid team, Paragon, call it quits got me to think, what if raiding was no longer the focus of endgame? What would you replace it with in-game and tell the storyline and lore, but also keep folks engaged and playing each week? Tetsumi himself would love to see a combination of the 5.1 storytelling telling and progression and 3 or 5 man scenarios for important points in the story. Let the raids stay for achievements and challenge modes, but don't let them be the main story point. Instead, let it play out naturally in the open world.
Yeah, so I heard this email and it got me thinking to what sounds good to me from an expansion, because I'm looking forward very much to Legion, but Legion is going to be a very interesting expansion for me because it's the first one that I'm going into with high expectations in the front end and low expectations in the back end of the game. Like, I'm not going in thinking, well, I'm going to raid, and I'm going to do dungeons, and I'm going to do this and that. I'm going in thinking, all right, I'm going to play through the story, and I'm going to, maybe try the new class and, see what the game's all about and try some fun stuff. But I might just check out early. Like, I might do what I did with Warlords, and that's okay. And even Blizzard has come out and said, that's a perfectly acceptable way to play the game. There's a part of me that, I would love for WoW to capture my imagination for an entire expansion cycle. I'm not opposed to that. I'm just being realistic to what history has shown me. And I think if I was going to design my ideal expansion, I think the way Blizzard needs to look at it is not, okay, well, here's 2/3 of our story. Now here's 2 arbitrary patches that really don't have much to do with anything, but it has raids in it. And now here's the closing to our story in the final raid. I feel like that's poor storytelling, first of all. And it causes people to check out early, is the other problem. Because you're not invested in it. Even when you look at a successful expansion like Lich King, you have a very compelling story from the time you get in to the time you get to Ice Crown, and then the story kind of stops abruptly, and then it's like, well, you got to go do not Karazhan, Naxxramas, and then okay, well, why don't you guys go to Ulduar? Okay, why are we going to Ulduar? There's bad stuff there. You should go. It's a fun. It's a fun raid, and you know what? It turns out, yeah, it's a really fun raid. It's a really good raid. I highly recommend Ulduar. And then, like, okay, and then we kind of get back to the story a little bit, where it's like, well, we're going to have this Argent tournament because we think we need to send, like, just the best of the best against the Lich King. Because if we send just regular troops, that just makes his army bigger. So we need to send just the best people. Um, okay, that's kind of cool. You can kind of see it as a filler story, but it's kind of cool. You know, in Dragon
It
Ball
makes
Z
sense,
terms,
doesn't
it's
it?
a world martial arts tournament story. So it's real good, but it also kind of dumb. Um, and then,
You know, at least Thrall isn't getting his driver's license.
yeah. So, and then it turns into, okay, well, now here's the finale. So they have a bad tendency of constantly doing that. And so I thought about, well, what if they broke this up like a movie? And let's take a movie that, if the numbers are any indication, almost all of you have seen, and if not, potential spoilers. Star Wars Episode 7. Let's pretend we are getting the Star Wars Episode 7 expansion.
Okay,
So
I would play that.
your leveling content would probably be, you know, Jakku, starting there. Maybe some stuff on the Imperial base. I know it doesn't make sense because you're flipping characters, but just bear with me for the analogy. Um, then you go up. You're going to have an adventure on that freighter with the Rathtars. Fun with Han Solo. Good times. Then you're going to go and you're going to hang out with Maz Kanata on her planet. That's going to be all very, very exciting. And that's where the end of the initial release content is, with maybe the attack on Maz Kanata's palace.
Ooh.
Very key, big moment, but the story is not done. Each patch thereafter would further that story. So you would have all the stuff with the Resistance, you would have all the stuff going to Starkiller Base, and then ultimately you would get to the final patch of the expansion, which would round out the story and finish the tale, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's what Blizzard goes for. I'm sure there are going to be people that hear this and say that's what they already do, but it doesn't feel like that's what they already do. I want a compelling full story. I want that questing experience that I'm having in the beginning to carry through the game, because that's the part that means the most to me. Instead, it feels like you hit max level and you're done. And then you can raid or you can do dungeons. Pick and go.
Because, John, if we stick with the Star Wars analogy there, leveling up, you get to Maz Kanata's temple, and then something attacks it, but you have no idea what's going on after that. Like, you don't even get to finish that because you're not doing the raiding content. And then from that point on, yeah, it's more story, but like you said, if you're not raiding, you're not getting that story.
Right.
And so there's all this extra bit of the story left that, I mean, granted, I'd be happy watching Star Wars, and if it ended at Maz Kanata's, you know, bar and everything, that's cool. It's just kind of weird that it ends there because there's no finale whatsoever.
Wouldn't it be cool if it ended there and then all your friends said, well, they stayed an extra 3 or 4 hours and they watched the rest?
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa.
I mean, it could even be like, to keep running with this analogy, which is still not a good analogy, but hey, you know, let's keep going with it. Like, maybe raiding content is Ray's perspective and leveling content is Finn's. And there's going to be overlap to story and all of that, but there's going to be times where they diverge, but it's still in service to the same story. Finn's story still ultimately leads to Ray's story. They ultimately lead to a story that's together. And, you know, if you experience the way it should work is the more of Warcraft you experience, the bigger picture of the story you get. You know, like, hey, I played through the questing, so I know the story. Well, hey, I played through the questing and the raiding, so I know the story, and then I also know this side bit, and it's super cool, and there's all this neat stuff. Like, you should get out what you put in, as far as time, and there should just be more there. It shouldn't be like, well, I'm sorry, your content is over because you're not into this part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, the delivery of the story at cap, at max level, is failing for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not happening. The fact is, in order for me to understand what was happening after I finished the questing part of Warlords, I had to go and watch videos on YouTube, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
When it should be in game. And and the crying shame of all of this is that the questing experience in Warlords was fantastic
It
Yeah.
was.
up until the moment it
That's the
stopped, and
best.
we forget that now because of all the mush afterwards. We just forget that because we're tied into to Nan, where we're constantly doing the same things over and over again. Because Lord knows why I'm still doing that, but anyway.
Like,
But that it's like it's awful. It's awful. It's like suddenly being yanked out of heaven. You know, you just can't. It's and I think I can understand from a development point of view. It's hard because you obviously have to have resources which develop the story outside the raiding, which is the common way these MMOs work. You have an end game, and that end game, if you don't want to participate in it, then goodbye. We'll see you next expansion.
Yeah.
yeah,
It is hard, but as John says, if you can get that to work, I mean, that would be absolutely stunning for
Yeah.
everybody to be able to participate in their own way, to have many paths to the same goal, which is the fulfillment of the storyline, surely in an MMO. So and you kind of want to grab hold of a dev and say, why aren't you doing this?
Yeah. A couple things. First off, someone on Twitter was kind of ranting to us earlier this week. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. I didn't think I was going to bring it up, but they mentioned that yeah, WoW has the most developers on the team right now, and this is what we get. Well, first of all, I'm gonna defend Blizzard and say that they're working on Legion. That's why. But with a big group that they have, something like this, I mean, who knows if they're split into so many different subsections that it's not possible. But with so many people working, I would hope that they'd be able to give us more content, especially after seeing what happened with Warlords and giving us such a dry patch. So hopefully we're able to have that extra story outside of Raid. Second, though, Bro again nailed it in the chat room. I absolutely love this idea. He had a question to us. So, Eljeppy, John, Ro would like to know, what if the level cap was only a couple of levels at the start of the expansion, but every 2 to 3 months you got a patch with more questing content and a couple more levels on the cap? Raid tiers would be set for each level cap progression and everything. So, like, say the first set is, you level from 1 to 103. There's a raid tier there. Next content patch comes, it's 104 to 106, another raid tier at 106. Is that something that would kind of interest you in order to actually keep the progression, the expansion, and content coming?
I'd be 100% all for that. That sounds awesome,
Yeah.
actually, because to me, at least, I look at it as, there is a feeling, even for me who likes the questing content, when you hit max level and all of a sudden the game opens up in this big way as far as like, go here, do this, you got to start this, don't forget to start your legendary. Have you done this crafting? You got to do this crafting. You got to go try this. Hey, you should try working towards your flying. Like, the million directions you get pulled, like, even me, it's very hard for me to want to continue that quest when all of a sudden my quest log fills up with, oh, you got to the end game, you're done with that chore, now let's show you what we have left to go on. If it's just a couple levels and a little bit of story and the raid tiers are designed around it, I think that's a really nice benchmark to set for raiding too. It would let them
Yeah.
tune in smaller increments because they've already looked at tuning for the previous tier and it's not that big of a jump necessarily. And so it's smaller steps up, and then on top of that, I feel like it lets them set the difficulty a little better. You can get the casuals pretty easy going through and seeing it, and you can make the heroic very difficult and challenging. And then for people that just like want to get through that content and want to do it in a couple months, they're going to be higher level for it. And they can, what I would be curious about and what I would worry about is, would people go back and do that at a higher level, or would the higher level then trivialize that content and it would just die at that point? So that's the part that I would be curious about, but I don't know. Jeppy, what are your thoughts on that?
I like that idea. I mean, one of the things that tends to happen when the expansion hits is people will just tear through it.
Mm-hmm.
They tear through it and then they'll knock it out. They'll be ready to raid in a week, 2 weeks, and then they've got to wait now for the next major patch, which could be several months away. And in this expansion, it could be the last one until a year. And hell, I mean, with best will in the world, people are going to get bored. You just can't
Yeah.
do that. What Ro's talking about seems a perfect solution, because at each there's a goal. You get to that goal. Those people who want to go raiding. Those people who want to do a bit more questing can do some more questing, and they've also got to look forward to another group of quests to come for the next level cap or the next mini level cap. It seems like a fantastic idea, and it also deals with the whole idea of people who do different things in game. I mean, at the moment, you're dead in the water if you're not raiding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, whereas that isn't the case. And it's also this idea that you were saying earlier, that when you link up with a company like Activision that is used to massive box sales and then nothing, massive box sales, then nothing. That's how those other games work. That will completely negate that, because you'll have a constant flow, a constant group of people coming into the game. Now, what you have to obviously deal with is those people who come in on the third iteration, who join the game on the third iteration of the patch,
Mm-hmm.
and then have to then go back and catch up and do the other bits and pieces. So that's slightly different, but that's
Well,
kind of what happens. So anyway, isn't it? So
the good thing with that, though, is that at least they'll be able to level all the way through the content. And if you look at it this way, Tanan Jungle is a great way to gear up for the final raid. You know, you've got all these Apexis things going on, so you can actually get decent gear to get into raiding. So as you're leveling up, you hit your first cap, you're raiding, you get gear. Hey, it's fantastic gear for the next set. Maybe you're not getting gear as you're leveling through that until you start raiding again, or maybe you get a couple upgrades here and there to keep it kind of fresh and happy going on. Whereas currently, you level up. If you're not really raiding, then yeah, you don't get gear, you don't get anything until they give you the next catch-up mechanic, which, you know, the final one for us is Tanan. I love this idea because it's going to keep me entertained and enthralled and just happy with the game this entire time. Well,
yeah,
theory, if it actually ever happens, which hopefully, because I think that's the best idea to keep people current and happy and, you know, in game that I've heard.
it's what games like Guild Wars do. It's what games, you know, they have a map basically, and they say that this is how we're going to proceed. And they also, which may not work necessarily well, is they phase a lot of stuff. So what you've done will affect the way the world looks. Like, for instance, they set up a town. There was a big battle there. If people go and visit that town now, it's destroyed.
Yeah.
So if you then come into the game, you'd have to go through that process, and then you can see the game. You can see the structure, it's all phased and so on and so forth. I mean, stuff like that is fantastic. I don't.
Well, and I look at it.
It's not going to happen in Legion, though. I mean, we know that for now. We know that Legion's going to come out, and even the process that they've set up, where you can do it in any order you want, and the mobs will level to your level. We now know that you're going to be able to do pretty much the entire thing in the first few weeks, if you want to.
Yeah.
Which seems crazy, doesn't it?
We're,
It seems to be just doing the same thing they did in this previous expansion.
we're too late for Legion, for sure, but we can be hopeful that it's going to be a better experience more consistently. And so Joe Brewer in the chat has actually, while I'm saying the word hopeful, has basically said that, you know, the constant use of the word hopeful for Legion is not inspiring a ton of confidence. And he's not wrong. I don't want to make it sound like he's wrong, because you're right. When people start saying hopeful, it implies that things are not good and that you're hoping they will get better, and that's absolutely true. But the thing of it is Blizzard has shown that they learn from their mistakes. They don't always learn the right lesson. Sometimes they swing way too hard and too far the other way, but they always try to adapt and learn. So I don't think it's wrong to assume that there will be reactionary decisions made in Legion based on the things we didn't like about this particular this particular expansion. Whether or not that solves the problems that people have remains to be seen, and that we're just not going to know until we get into it and try it. But we could see radical changes for the expansion after, because the other thing that a lot of people have to keep in mind, and I feel like we say it a lot, is that yes, they're working on Legion right now, but they are also probably starting production, if not already in production, of whatever the expansion after Legion is.
Yep.
That's just the way their cycle goes, and especially if they want to make it faster, we can pretty much assume that that's what they're working on now. Because that's the speed with which it goes, that means that most likely a lot of the bigger decisions pertaining to Cataclysm's or Warlords release, specifically late game Warlords release, is going to be implemented more in the expansion after Legion than Legion itself. Just based on where they are development-wise. So we don't know. And I'm going to keep using the word hopefully because I haven't been given a reason to necessarily believe that Legion is going to be bad. I don't like Warlords, but I loved leveling and playing through Warlords.
Yeah,
there
were moments of genius in that.
Totally.
expansion.
Yeah, so there's something to look forward to. Like, I feel like even if I get the expansion and I just get another leveling experience that's the same exact thing as Warlords, okay, well, you're not going to fool me. I'll cancel my sub once I'm done, but I'm going to have a lot of fun up to that point.
Once the next content patch happens, you'll play a little more depending on what they offer.
Yeah, so you just got to play it by ear and you know, hope for the best with Blizzard sometimes. And
sometimes it feels like a sports team. It feels like your favorite sports team. And they've crashed out early on. They've not made it to the playoffs, and this next couple of years is going to be rebuilding. We got rid of the manager. We've got some nice drafts, and we're going to rebuild. And this coming up year is going to be complete crap. But you know, we need to retool. And this is another thing as well, is that we're talking about a game which is 11 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a certain point where you have to kind of say, you're going to have to retool this. You're going to have to throw away some concepts which don't work with your current audience. And we're a very different audience than that played vanilla. I mean, that people have to accept that people don't necessarily want to be smashing their head against the keyboard every time they face a boss. You know, there's a different type of audience. So there's all that to be considered as well. But I think John's exactly right. I think and one thing that's so frustrating is we just don't see the plan.
Yeah.
We don't see the whole plan. We don't. There's no map for us to have a look at and go, well, okay, I can accept these downfalls here because I know that further down the line is Oz. You know, I could this yellow brick road is pretty crappy, but Oz, that's just down the road there. So I know what's coming.
Yeah.
so it's a hard thing for them to do. And having said all this, and you've said it in the chat perfectly. This passion is because it's a fantastic game. And regardless of what I've said this evening, I'm in there all the time. I'm paying myself. In fact, because as a multi-boxer, I'm paying for free subs.
Oh, so you're...
Admittedly, I'm paying with gold, but still, neither here nor there. Somebody's paying their $20, and I'm not paying my 15, but still, there's a genius move, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's and that's what I see on Twitter a lot. People going, "Oh, you need to calm down." That passion, directed correctly, is fantastic and should be applauded. It's when it turns into homicidal tendencies towards the devs that you need to put your foot on top of its head.
Because you can't walk on water.
I think we need times that Blizzard just reminds us why we love the game. And the reason I say that is, so right now, and I'm sorry for where this is going to both of you. I do another show about a particular MOBA called Heroes of the Storm. That show is called Core. And I love Heroes of the Storm. I love it a lot. But I haven't been playing a lot of it. lately. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch instead. There's a lot of new in Overwatch. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of cool things in there. There's a lot of things that I wish Blizzard would bring into their other properties. And you've probably noticed it. If you're listening to WoW podcasts, if you're listening to, if you're watching Twitch, there's a lot of people talking about Overwatch. You would think it was the second coming.
Yes.
It's exciting and it's a good game. But next week, on Tuesday, Here's the Storm is bringing in Zul the Necromancer, one new hero, and I'm going to be there with bells on, excited and can't wait to play because it's something. It's not a huge patch. It's some new stuff and a new character, but sometimes that's all it takes is just something to get you to look at the game and go, "Oh yeah, man, this is great. I really like this game. Why don't I play this game more?" And that's kind of how I felt when I very briefly got back into my rogue on WoW, when I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm going to be a rogue in Legion. And I started playing my rogue more. I was like, oh man, that's right. I really like WoW. Why aren't I playing more WoW? And then that went away because I was just doing Garrison stuff again. But
It's funny, John, that you say that. There's something new coming, and that's great. Okay, Blizzard, I think, took kind of the right step in the right direction when they started doing these weekly event things. Granted, there's only one or two that I actually really participate in, but when those weeks come up, I'm in game and busting my butt doing everything I can to enjoy that. Like, Wrath Time Walking is what I log in for. I will log in. I will run my 5 on my healer. I run my 5 on my mage, and I might do 5 more on various other tunes that I have to either level or get gear or whatever. But it's something that's there that's drawing me into game. And granted, in this aspect, it's a nostalgia type of thing, but at least I'm actually there logging in. So anytime that there is just that little glimpse and glimmer of a shiny thing that you want, whether it's a new hero in Heroes of the Storm, or hey, we have another map in Overwatch, or guess what, there's new loot dropping in Diablo, whatever it is, they need to throw some of that at Warcraft in order to get the player base engaged again.
yeah.
I think those events have been very successful. I personally enjoy the pet battle event. I haven't done time walking yet, but I can see how it's incredibly popular, especially with those people who are nostalgic for those dungeons. You would think there would be a team while they're working on Legion. There would be a team that's just focused on the day-to-day events within WoW. They did there was a tweet about something in the sky. Did you see that? They did a tweet that said the love is in the air is not the only thing in the sky. So people ran out into the world looking
What's
for something
going
in the sky.
on?
Now, in all honesty, if they put another moon up there, or they'd put something, I don't know, something
Just like a green comet.
Exactly. I don't know, the comet out of Game of Thrones or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
something that people would go, yay! Just get back out in the world again. It doesn't seem to me to be necessary to be anything major, nothing super, super big. Just something. Do you remember, you mentioned this, I think, last week or the week before, the Murloc.
Oh yeah.
Turkey.
Yeah. Just chuck a few of those in there. Have somebody, don't necessarily hide it too much, because we won't find it, but chuck a few things, maybe give a few hints, a little bit of a paper chase to find this item. People will be all over that. People want to be out in the world. They want an excuse to get out in the world, into the old world in particular. So just do it, Blizzard.
And if that doesn't tell you how hungry we are for more content, like, what will? I mean, like, that's the thing, is all it takes is a cryptic tweet from the right person, and everybody logs in and looks up in the air. Like,
Staggering.
Like, people are just dying of thirst, and there's not a drop to be had right now, and that's the problem. And I know Blizzard knows. Like, I know that, like, I'm kind of beating a dead horse at this point because we all know, but, like, that's the mistake. Like, that's the thing they cannot repeat, no matter what Legion is or isn't. Like, they just have to know that people are just hungry for something, even if it's looking up in the air and going like, wow,
Whoa.
look at,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna log off. Like, but at least you were excited and you got to talk about it. Like,
Mhm.
it's
And they can't afford that churn. I mean, rode the churn between expansions, and they have to. Every MMO is going to lose a certain number of players between expansions, especially as you hit endgame. But there's a certain point where you you just can't afford it. There's a point where, and I know we're not going to ever see numbers again. I understand this, but to anecdotally, when I go onto my guild and there's 10 people gone, or there's 5 people that aren't logging in, or those people that are logging in saying, "Well, this is my final month,"
Yeah.
that grinds you down because you kind of want to say, "No, just stay," because I just hopefully there's something else coming, and that they need to look at that. They need to really think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a tweet from one of my friends on my raid team who said that uh, sometime in April might be his last month until Legion, and that made me really sad.
Yeah, yeah. I think I saw that tweet too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. I was like,
But yeah,
oh. And that's when I said to Tatsumi, hey, we really have to step up raiding. 'Cause I want to get that done by April, which, I mean, we've only got 2 bosses left, so maybe.
well, that's the real reason why the expansion hasn't come out. They're waiting for you guys. So if you could
Oh,
just
okay.
kick it into high gear.
they're holding us back.
I don't want this to sound like it's all dire. I mean, I hopefully am conveying that I am hopeful and just wanting what's
Oh, no.
best. But at the same time, like, I'm in a weird place where it's like I look at the WoW tray and it's like barren and there's like a crumb that just got
You've
like,
already eaten off of it.
yeah, that got kidnapped. But I'm at a place where I'm like the most excited for Blizzard as a company that I've ever been.
Mhm.
And so it's this weird dichotomy of just like, oh man, like I'm so hyped about Overwatch and Heroes, and Diablo grabs me in an unhealthy way every season, and just like couldn't be more excited about some of their properties and where it's going and where they're going as a company. But then it's like, yeah, but the thing that really brought me here was Warcraft, and I'm still just waiting for that dish to be filled again, and that's a tough wait. It's a tough wait, but you know, we're there with y'all, everybody who has to do it. And if you're having the time of your life, more power to you, man. I wish I could copy.
Jealous.
I wish I could be you.
Well, I'm in. Like I say, I'm in daily. The Valentine's holiday has me in just for that. But I'm in daily anyway. I'm making gold, which is something that I like to do.
Right.
I'm running through old dungeons in teams and so on and so forth. So it's all cool. I mean, that's like I was saying earlier. I don't want to give the impression that somehow I've stopped subscribing, because I've never stopped subscribing.
Yeah.
It's never happened. So there is stuff to do. If you could, there is still stuff to do. But at the same time, you're constantly thinking, I'm happy to do busy work while I wait for something to come along.
Yeah.
But if I'm still not 100% sure what's coming along, you know, eventually the busy work grinds you down. But yeah, I mean every day, 4, 5, 6 hours. So, you know, I'm that nutter.
You're honestly, you're not a nutter, because I'm in there every day too, whether it's just doing it or logging in for a couple minutes or running old content to try to get stuff.
Yeah.
The funny thing is and I feel horrible saying this, but I'm one of those people who I have a Legion alpha access, and you know, I've hopped in
Yeah.
a couple times, played a bit, but and here it is. Hopefully, I won't run into this problem, but I haven't tested out a whole ton of Legion, because what if it's a repeat expansion like Warlords and I experience all the content before it's even released?
Yeah.
That's
And
Same
been
here.
my fear as well, actually.
yeah, that's why I haven't done a whole ton with it yet. I mean, you know, I want to try all the different artifact intros. I want to really get in there and test a lot of stuff out, but I don't at the same time, because you know, I don't want to level through the same thing again and again and
No.
again with all my alts, which I'm already going to do.
Yeah. I mean, same thing. I've got the alpha, and I jumped in, checked out the Demon Hunter a wee bit. I didn't go through the entire thing,
Mhm.
and I was just worried, instantly worried that I would feel burnt out. before we even got into beta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This alpha, I don't know what's going on, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I did report a bug or two, so I
Yeah.
did my job at least.
Yeah. You
So-
earn your invite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I offered play data.
Okay.
And I streamed it, I think. But you know what I really learned from the Legion alpha, beta, whatever we're calling it. I don't remember what it was
Alpha.
when I played it. It was alpha when I played it. Okay.
It's still alpha, John.
Well, great.
It's still-
That's fantastic news.
They took a step forward and then back.
That's good to hear. What I learned is that demon hunters are cool. They can hover. They wear cloth across their eyes. They kill demons and steal their abilities. All of these things are very cool, but they are also cold because there are no shirts for the demon hunters.
Very true.
Where are they going to get a shirt from?
Well, I thought long and hard about how they might get their shirts, and I've come up with a solution. If a demon hunter wanted a shirt, the easiest way would be to go to slashloot.com. Slashloot is a fantastic website where you can get all sorts of geek assorted goodies, including t-shirts. As a matter of fact, if those demon hunters really felt the need to, show I have good taste in audio shows, they could click on podcasts and get the Azeroth Roundtable t-shirt. It's right there at the top because alphabetically we start with an A. Smart thinking.
That's great.
That we in no way planned for.
Definitely not. But John, what if they have, their t-shirt item equipped, but it's just transmog so it doesn't show something? So that slot is already filled.
I don't know, Ben, because I followed my own advice and went to said website and there was no option to buy anything else.
Really?
Yes. So I would love to pimp maybe some other merchandise, but I can't in good faith send people to another website where said merchandise is not available.
Oh, well, in that case, we'll make sure it gets available.
It's like
I might have
through
had somebody say, "Hey, John, what does the necklace or keychain look like?" and had to go through a whole thing trying to find it today, and was only able to show it by looking at past orders because nothing is currently available. But let's say we live in a future world where maybe other products become available, maybe by chance. You might find that possibly at geekasylum.etsy.com. I don't know, home of stuff, but nothing Azeroth Roundtable related right now.
Well, I would say that if I were talking about that website at geekasylum.etsy.com, I would say that the seller has actually come down with the flu and is pretty sick.
Whoa.
But
Yeah,
I'm not defending anyone. I'm just, saying facts. That's
I think John got a lucky deal with a t-shirt.
Look, look, I'm not casting any shade. I'm not throwing out any salt or throwing anything else weird out of me at the moment, except words.
John,
And-
you know what's really cool, though?
All I'm going to say is this. You got a week before we try this song and dance again, so there's no pressure. You got a whole week. You're going to lose a week's worth of traffic. And I'm sorry for that.
But here's the neat thing.
I owe $1.16.
So if you wanted to see what that pendant did look like when it's not available, John, if you go to AzerothRoundtable.com, on the right side under Azeroth Roundtable merchandise, there's a link that says Murloc with a mic pendant. And
Yeah.
if you click on that,
Yeah.
you'll at least see the picture.
Could I order it if I really liked it?
Eventually, you sure could.
Well, hell, I guess I'll tell you about that next week, folks. We're going to have big announcements next week.
Yes, we
So
are.
buy a shirt this week and awesome new old stuff coming next week. It's going to be great.
So, Eljeppy,
Hopefully it's going to be great.
Eljeppy, thank you very much for joining us. How can people find you?
The best place is on Twitter on Eljeppy, Eljeppy. And hopefully we'll be getting out a new WoW Geekly at some stage if I can go and see it. I mean, obviously I only live around the corner from a show, so it shouldn't be too hard, but we'll see how it goes.
Exactly. Just go knock on the door, right?
Knock on his door, yeah.
This just in, the Azeroth Roundtable necklace is available in the geekasylum.etsy.com store.
Wow, look at that. Amazing turnaround time.
That's pretty good.
Look at me doing work, doing business practices during the show.
Good job. Good job. John, where can people find you?
If people want to hear more from me, they can follow me on Twitter at John_Jagger. And you can also check me out on other shows that I do. It's got enough plugging, but I'll plug it again. That's what... No, nobody said. That show is Core. It is my Heroes of the Storm podcast. It is part of the Frog Pants Network. And you can also check me out on Experience Points. That is also on the Frog Pants Network. That is a live stream thing. So you can watch that live every Saturday from 12 to 3 Mountain Time. And that's at twitch.tv/frogpants_Scott. But all that information is available at frogpants.com.
Core. If you're looking for me, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Ben the Mage. I also do a show called Geektopia and another one called Battle Pets. Check those out. They I had fun with them. Hopefully you will too. As for this show, though, we are on Twitter at AzerothRT. If you have any questions, comments, want to yell at any of us, you can always email AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com.
Don't invite that.
If you want to tell us nice things, definitely email the same place, AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com. Past episodes of the show can be found on our website, and that is AzerothRoundtable.com. And of course, we're also on iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn, and also Alpha Geek Radio, which is pretty cool. Last but not least, our intro contains music from Volatile Reaction by Kevin MacLeod, and you can find more of his music at incompetech.com.
Kaboom.
Finger guns. And we are done recording. That's a show.
We did it, everybody.
Yay!
Yay.
We managed through that.
Staggered through that.
Yeah, it's, very British of us to, just kind of walk through that whole conversation and be very polite and happy.
Uh-huh.
That's fine.
Look at you
There's no
trying
cussing.
to
It was very
recover
good.
your boner that you pulled at the start of the show.
What? My boner?
Yeah, they
Wow.
used to call, mistakes boners.
Oh,
They did?
Yeah,
who did, John?
the Joker.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then.
Just a sip of water.
Oh, Jeppy, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad that you came on.
Thank you for having me. That's fantastic.
We're
I'm
gonna
trying to
have
get
to
back
have you
into podcasting.
Oh, we definitely need to have you
Been a
back.
while. Yay!
And we said that publicly while we were still, airing and everything. So that's
Yeah,
how you know
I-
we're really serious.
I have my lawyer working on the paperwork now. So
All right, you send it.
Sweet.
I'm not going to appear on any shows where necklaces and keychains aren't available. That's for sure.
Good thing they're available now.
False advertising bullshit.
Bonercast.
I'm so glad the old man Franks was here to just yell Bonercast into our chat room. Thanks.
Bonercast.
Bonercast.
I hate you so much,
Me or John?
John.
Or OMF for saying Bonercast.
All right, in my defense, I was totally going to say something before the show, and I didn't remember until I had to, promote it, and then I was like, oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't promote that because nobody can even buy it right now.
That's
The words "under the bus" spring to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We didn't
true.
say any names. I mean, we gave the website.
It was all very subtle. It
Yeah,
was all very,
nobody
very
would have
subtle.
ever guessed it.
The meeting you had would have been great to tell me.
Yeah, that's true.
The meeting was about other things.
It was.
Dragged from the sick bed. Terrible. Terrible.
Yep, I drug her out. You saw me get up and walk over. I just drug her out and said, "Put it on sale."
How many sales have you lost, though? That's the thing.
Thousands, probably.
Thousands of sales. This is a peak time for buying.
It is. You know what they say about February jewelry? It sells well.
Oh, now
Oh dear, now we'll see what you've done.
Yep.
Oh.
don't look at me. I'm not making you laugh. I never make you laugh.
Just going for a Tiny Tim sympathy cough, and I'm not falling for it. Next, she's going to start limping, and I'm going to be like, that's bullshit. I'm not even going to feel bad. That's a fake limp and a fake little crutch.
Oh,
I'm going to say, bah humbug.
bah humbug.
Say that anyway.
Well, I'm going to say it louder.
Yeah. I see John walking around, and I'm like, hey, John, he's all, humbug.
Bah humbug.
Okay, so John, I have to ask, what's your definitive Christmas Carol go-to movie?
Wait, what? So, like, if I want to see the story of A Christmas Carol?
Yeah, like, what do you watch?
The book, A Christmas Carol.
Yeah, right.
I know, I'm
Scrooged.
kidding. I just wanted to take a high and mighty stance. Probably Scrooged.
Scrooge? Okay. Same with you, Jeppy?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I got to go Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe number 2.
Yeah.
Did you-
Actually, I like. I dissed the Muppets. Sorry. It's the low point of the show.
I watched the show, and first they thought England was Australia, and then they were really mad about WoW, and then they yelled at Sarah, and then they started insulting the Muppets.
Jeez.
This show sucks.
2 stars.
I can't wait to get a review on iTunes that says they insulted the Muppets 5 stars.
5 stars for Muppet
Yes.
murder.
Wicked Kitten, you're right. Scrooge McDuck. Mickey's Christmas Carol is good.
Yeah.
DuckTales, man. I'm all about DuckTales.
Oh, man. No, we're not using that for the title.
Why not?
No, we're not.
Explicit tag because of our title. Woo!
Maybe I'll just do sitting on a water strider down by the river.
We did for Control Alt WoW. We used the title once. Always grinding. And I think it was Apple decided that was offensive, and they said they'd take away the clean tag if we'd use that. So. Oh, I don't know.
It's like
Grinding.
the listen to the episode.
You're so sensitive, Apple.
So sensitive. iTunes it was. Yeah.
Haven't you
Nope.
heard of double entendre? You
Oh,
can't
that's-
call it that either.
Man. Seriously.
Hoping for WoW. It's
Oh.
a pretty good title. It's kind of sad, kind of melancholy.
It is kind of really
Maybe
sad.
it's
I'd like to be a little bit more upbeat.
So
flowers
Legion and
for
New Hope.
Azeroth.
Legions of Hope. How's that?
It's good if you like awful things.
Landstrider, maybe. Sitting in a puddle.
That's kind of.
Yeah, it's something puddle related. It's pretty good.
Crossing the puddle.
No, gross. No. Yuck. Up a puddle without a paddle.
I like that one.
Up a puddle without a strider.
No, I like that one.
What, the Aussie Aussie Aussie? Oh, wait, no.
Legion Hope Awakens is pretty good too. Look up in the sky. I'm a fan of this one. Man, we should crowdsource all our titles. Chat room's way better at this than you.
Thanks.
John is mean.
That'd be every episode.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah.
That's too.
I should just start putting that into description.
John is mean. It should just go at the end of every episode description.
I'd
In
like to look up
brackets.
in the sky.
This week we talk about Water Striders and Blizzard Endgame. John is mean.
Oh,
Again.
you know what? I should just add that as a tag for every episode.
Some podcasts are marked clean, some podcasts are marked explicit, some podcasts are marked John is mean.
Okay, I got Look Up in the Sky. Do you guys like it?
I like that you went through all that and you went with the most vanilla one of all of them. If there's ever been a better analogy for you, Ben, it's the decisions you just made just right now.
But I liked it.
No wonder.
Fine. It'll be Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oh, wait, no.
I like that, actually.
So that's a good one. I like that.
All right, there we go.
I really
That's
like
what it
that
is.
one a lot.
So, and then I have a permanent record of that pain you caused me. That's great.
And I'm sorry, Tiber COD, I didn't mean to call your title vanilla. It's just there was a lot of flair all around it, and yours was appropriate, and it did make me laugh. But it felt very Ben to not go with any of the flair.
John is mean.
Yeah.
Okay, it is going to be Art episode 153, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oh, wait, no, featuring Eljeppy. You asked for it, it's what you get.
You're going to have to include the first bit where you screw up so badly.
It's going to be at the very end of the... I think I was recording then.
Hopefully, or we'll have to reenact it.
Well, I know that at some point we talk about how horrible I am, so that'll be at the end. Don't worry.
There's no truth in this.
Well, and plus I mentioned it at the actual beginning of the show itself, so
Yeah, that's a good point.
And people could hear the pain in my voice.
the entire episode.
Yeah.
Hashtag Ben is mean.
Constant grinding of my teeth.
Oh, that's what the grinding was?
Always thinking I'm Australian.
Damn it.
Crikey. No, wait. That tricks him.
No, why did I say that? Ah!
Throw Ben on the Barbie.
They're affecting me. No.
Not again. So yeah, Jeffy, that was awesome.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. This is probably the most I've enjoyed myself at 4:30 in the morning for a long time.
Oh, since 13.
Wait, that's the time in Australia?
No. It's actually 3:30 in the afternoon where Australia lives.
In all of Australia? Wow, I thought it was big.
They got some weird time zones, but yeah.
They do. It's messed up down there. There's big insects,
Spiders that eat birds.
drop bears.
Stuff just kills you instantly.
Yeah. Put an underwater strider on the Barbie. Sorry, Joe, but we already have a Ben's an idiot title already. Can't have that one.
I would go to Australia, to the most dangerous parts of Australia, before I would go to Florida. I just want to throw that. I just want to throw that out there.
Look, as soon as the Harry Potter world opens in California, there's no need to go to Florida at that point.
Florida scares me more than any place else on this planet.
It is the Wang of America.
Somebody asked me if there were nude beaches in Florida, and I said yes, it's called Florida.
If you want to see 70-year-old men and women naked, then Florida seems to be the place to go.
Your paradise, man. It's a good place to be. Not ready for that.
Yeah, either that or just go to any Walmart.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, a lot of Florida hate in the chat room.
Well, it's deserved. You get way too many news stories out of Florida.
It's not just the Wang of America, but according to Solomio, it's also limp.
I like that he felt the need to throw that on there. Look, let's be clear. It's a limp wang. It's not a good strong wang. It's dangling off into the Gulf of Mexico.
We're just one really bad earthquake away from that getting excited.
It's not. I don't think it's actually anywhere near the Gulf of Mexico. Please don't correct me.
Florida? Yeah, it is.
Is
It
it?
kind of creates the Gulf of Mexico.
Hold on. Now I have to look at a map. I don't think that's right.
Okay.
If it is, I'm totally taking credit for getting it right off the bat. Oh, it does.
Wow, John, you're what's wrong with America.
Look, hey, I got it right, and then I second guessed myself.
Question though, can you find your own state on a map of the United States?
No, where is it? Look, the United States is a big place. I googled Gulf of Mexico, and then I started to get frustrated. I'm like, why aren't they showing me more of the map? It's my own fault. It's on me.
We're not ending this on a high note at all, are we?
Mm-mm.
There's nowhere up that we can go at this point.
Look, I'd rather be ignorant about United States geography than world geography.
Okay.
Sadly, I'm ignorant about both.
Well, the good news is that I can find England and Australia on a map. I just can't, sort people into both of those locations.
Oh, weird.
It's difficult. I understand. I fully
My
understand.
cursor is showing up for once on the stream. This is exciting. I can...
My gosh, it is.
Boop.
Ah.
Hi, Ben. Poke, poke, poke.
I don't know what you're gonna do, but I'm trying to make sure that
Hi, Ben. Oh, you got something on your glasses. Gonna just wipe it off for you. Here we go. Just gonna
Why does it?
wipe
It turns
off.
into a thing. It turns into a finger when you touch the glasses.
I know, isn't it weird? I don't know why it does that.
Why does it do that?
I don't know. It knows your glasses are there somehow. Hi, Ben. I'm gonna take off your earphones.
Nope.
Now I'm gonna poke your nose.
Nope.
Too late. Gotcha. Got your nose. Alright, enough of that. That's creepy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop that.
It's pretty bad.
It was creepy like 2 minutes ago.
It was, but it was fun creepy.
It's so creepy. I think I'm shutting down Alpha Geek. So bye, everybody on Alpha Geek.
They're like, there's no visual to go with this. Why?
Oh my god.
Alright. Well, that was fun.
Was it? It was creepy.
It was a little creepy, but that's fine. I had a good time. I got what I needed out of it.
That voice was so close to Cartman's little Cupid hymn.
Oh.
Just gonna
Get your pain in your mouth a little bit. Tee-hee, tee-hee. First time I'm just peeing your mouth a little bit.
No.
Okay, it's fun. It's also fun.
Jeppy, I'm sorry about that.
I'm gonna end this show. It has gone on clearly too long. We should have killed this minutes ago.
Yes, we should have.
Long before I messed
completely
up
flooded
geography and all that other stuff. So,
No,
hi,
right
everybody.
after the Gulf, we could have shut it down.
Hi, everybody. John here. Thank you for joining us.
If you've been affected by anything in this show, please call the number below.
It's true.
It's a number?
We laughed a little. We cried a little. We got angry together in unison.
We did?
We learned about the Gulf of Mexico and about America's flaccid dong.
As we should.
Have a good night, everybody.